Hi friends! So by now you may know about my fondness for compost, but do you know how it started? Honestly, I don't really either because it was always this background part of my life, like brushing my teeth or going to the grocery store. I remember finding worms in my backyard and tossing them into the compost pile long before I'd grown out of thinking worms were cute. I didn't notice compost at all because who would? Until it was gone. My first year of college was rough. I spent most of it in and out of the counseling center just trying to untangle that ball of anxiety that sat just below my throat. And while I managed to make it to year 2, things weren't feeling much better. My roommate was a girl from my therapy group, and I hadn't really managed to make my own friends yet. Instead, I fixated on this collection of little things that felt strange and uncomfortable to me. Little things like not having my own bedroom door to shut. Little things like not having my dog to jump up in excitement when I came home. Little things like peeling my carrots into the trash bin instead of the compost. I was home for Christmas break, complaining to my dad while tossing carrot shavings into the compost bucket, and he was just like, well, fix it, you nerd. Isn't there someone you can email, tell them that you want to compost? And I brushed him off, but I was already Googling for a contact. It wasn't long before I discovered that my school had an Office of Sustainability and emailed that office and been invited by that office to a meeting, the purpose of which was to tell me no. There were a lot of reasons they couldn't compost, they said, but to me it just sounded like a lot of really friendly excuses. It would be too expensive and we don't really have anywhere to put it, and the volume would just be too much. I felt entirely deflated, but they suggested that I channel some of my energy into joining the Student Environmentalist Club. I'd never really considered myself an environmentalist before. Where I grew up, the things that my family did weren't eco-friendly, they were just normal. We'd load up my dad's old truck with soda cans and newspapers to take them to the recycling center before single stream or curbside recycling was ever a thing. And on the way home, we'd stop to weed and water our plot at the local community garden. I'd stuff my pockets full of fresh green beans and eat sugar snap peas straight off the vine. And once I got home, the tops of the pea pods would go straight into the compost bin. So maybe I was kind of an environmentalist. At the Environmentalist Club meeting, when we went around the circle to talk about why we were there, I talked about my compost mission to just a bunch of nodding heads. Nobody thought I was fucking weird for being so singularly obsessed with compost. Together, we did some research and made a plan. And I reached out to a local nonprofit we found that collected food scraps from restaurants and turned them into compost for local community gardens. Maybe they'd be willing to do something on a larger scale. Turns out they were super jazzed, and we were super jazzed, and we just had to get the Office of Sustainability jazzed. We tried to get a meeting, and then tried again, until months into my quest, I was across the table from the same people who had brushed me off before, and the director of this nonprofit, and me. Anxious McNo-Friends, who was totally unprepared for the possibility of success. It was entirely improbable that I would get this far, but here I was, pitching campus-wide composting because some months ago I was bitching about carrot peels. By the end of the meeting, we had worked out a plan to start with just one dining hall in the fall semester and expand from there. It was less than what I wanted, but at least it was a start, and I was still soaring. Because at least I had a start now too. A little piece of purpose. A little circle of people who thought I was alright. A little tiny feeling that I could make a thing happen. We could start small and expand from there. So in the comments, tell me about a time that you found your place or your purpose or your people, even if you're still figuring it out. And if you liked this video, you can subscribe if you're so inclined. You can also find me on all my social medias and links below, and I will see you next week. Bye!